Today is a big day because I'm going to give away 12 booster boxes of Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution's gotten ridiculously expensive for pre-order. It's closing in on like $300 a booster box, which is insane. The market in general is just insane. But I'm going to give away 12 for free. And all you have to do if you want to win one is just make sure you are subscribed. So scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and then you want to leave a like and a comment on this video right here, this video. It can be, yo, what up, Fanny? It can be whatever you want, but you got to leave a like and a comment on this video, and then come back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today is the release day of Mega Evolution. So that's September 26th, and I'm going to announce 12 different winners. Each of them are going to win a booster box of Mega Evolution for free. Just free because you deserve it. So hit that subscribe button, scroll down, leave a like, leave a comment. Boom, you're entered. Come back September 26th to see if you're the winner, a winner, one of 12 winners. Good luck. All right, it is Fanny rant time. It's not so much a rant. It's really not. Buyouts are not really anything new in the Pokemon card space. Buyouts have happened before. We've had buyouts happen before. Usually they are tied to the competitive game. And a lot of times they used to happen a lot of times during rotation, when rotation would hit. For those of you who don't know what rotation is in competitive play, at the bottom of each Pokemon card is a letter symbolizing the block of Pokemon cards that you can play competitively at a tournament. Right now, all tournaments are standard format. Basically, what that means is any card that was printed in the Scarlet and Violet era is pretty much eligible to be played at a current competitive tournament. Now, rotation is going to hit in like March, April, somewhere around there, and then they will rotate to less sets. So there are the cards that you can pull from to build a competitive deck is less, and then that grows for a year, and then they rotate again, and they've been doing this for as long as I can remember. And rotation used to be a little bit bigger of a deal because they didn't reprint cards as much as what they do now, and the format was not as dynamic. I guess you could argue maybe it was a little bit more dynamic, but that's neither here nor there. Back in the day when rotation would hit, there were multiple formats that you could play at a regional event or a states event or something like that, where you had standard play, and then you also had expanded tournaments. Expanded tournaments would let you pull from a bigger pool of cards, so maybe like the previous generation would also be legal to build your 60 card deck. It doesn't happen anymore. Pretty much all standard tournaments that are sanctioned are available for points. But buyouts used to happen. Used to be something that would happen a lot of times around competitive play, or because of a significant competitive card. So one instance would be like the Landorus EX, I believe from Boundaries Cross. When rotation got announced, and rotation ended up being different than what a lot of competitive players thought it was going to be, Landorus EX ended up staying in the standard format. And because of that, it got bought up like crazy because it was expected to be the best deck in the format, the BDIF. And it ended up being a really, really strong deck, but Landorus ended up getting bought out like crazy. Now, we're not talking about buyouts like what we're seeing right now. Buyouts right now are significantly different, and we'll get to that in a second. But a card like Landorus EX, which was a $4 or $5 regular art EX, jumped to $25, $30 overnight. So just very percentage-wise, like that's huge. Huge. Very, very big. A lot of like common cards, staple trainer cards were also targeted because, like I said, they didn't reprint cards as much. They didn't put them as frequently in battle decks. They had starter decks, but they were pretty much trash. They weren't very good. But cards like Custom Catcher, when rotation happened, Custom Catcher jumped up from like a 25-cent bulk card to like $10, $11 a pop overnight. Zorua, Paralyzing Gaze Zorua from Dark Explorers, was thought to be the best version of Zorua to pair with Zoroark, to pair with Zoroark GX with its trade ability. So at one point in time, Zoruas got bought up. They got bought out like crazy, and it was like a $30 common if you wanted them. So buyouts happened. They just didn't happen to the scale of what you're seeing now. And part of the reason behind that, and this is the frustrating part behind things, especially for people who have been around for a while. So if you've been collecting Pokemon cards for a while, a lot of times collecting is important to you because it brings back memories, it brings nostalgia, it brings emotional attachment to what you are collecting. And you don't understand, like people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand the financial side of things and the financial attachment with certain cards, because for a long time, Pokemon has just been the emotional emotional connection that you have with those cards. For a long time, buyouts didn't happen a whole lot because it wasn't a ton of money. When it comes to Pokemon, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and before that, before the pandemic, you were talking a lot of times about, okay, you could start a Pokemon card business and you could make, you know, some hundreds of dollars a week, hundreds of dollars a month, a few $100s here, a few $100s there. It wasn't attractive enough for the average person to be like, oh, this is a great opportunity, because it was hundreds of dollars. And people looked at it as just collecting, because hundreds of dollars is easy to make. Hundreds of dollars, you can go get a part-time job, and you don't necessarily have to work really hard. You don't have to get like a big fancy part-time job or a big fancy full-time job. You can get, you know, whatever job you want and make a few $100s a week. That's not really that difficult. But when you start focusing on thousands of dollars, which is where we're at right now, thousands of dollars that can be made on Pokemon cards, from buyouts, manipulating the market, even just running a Pokemon card business, being able to get stuff from distro and selling it on the secondary market. As long as you can still pay wholesale, or even if you can pay like 25% below market right now, there's shops that you can make thousands of dollars a week, which is a game changer. It's a game changer. And people are seeing that. People are realizing it. That's why the article that just got put out in like the Wall Street Journal, like that doesn't necessarily bode well for the future of Pokemon cards, the attention that is going to be paid on Pokemon cards. Because people, when you start seeing hundreds of dollars being made a week, it's really just not that big of a deal. Because it's uncomfortable. You probably maybe don't know a whole lot about it. Yeah, there's the attractiveness of like, this is something maybe I could do out of my home. This is something where I don't need to work for somebody else. This is something where I can kind of work for myself, which are all very attractive qualities. But for hundreds of dollars, a lot of times laziness creeps in and it's just like, well, I can just get a part-time job and make hundreds of dollars. But when it's thousands of dollars, it's a game changer. Then a lot more eyes see that opportunity and want to grab that opportunity because maybe it's not as much work. Maybe you don't have to go somewhere. You can work for yourself. You have all these different outlets like Whatnot and Drip and eBay Live and Facebook Marketplace and Instagram and TikTok and TikTok Live and all these different channels where you can sell Pokemon cards and make thousands of dollars a week. And when you have that opportunity, then all of a sudden that emotional connection shifts for a lot of people. And that's where that frustration comes in for a lot of collectors right now, because that emotional connection is no longer just based off of emotions. It's based off of financial as well, because it's thousands of dollars as opposed to hundreds of dollars, which is why we're seeing buyouts happen so frequently, all the time. In today's video, we're going to talk about alternate arts, which have a lot of them just completely blown up because it's another segment, another niche, another area of the Pokemon card space right now that's getting attacked, that's getting bought up. I shouldn't say attacked. It's getting bought up because people foresee value there. And you have to understand that the way maybe you and I look at things from a collecting standpoint, this is something that I'm always going to preach, is you want to try and understand things from both sides of the coin before you really formulate your own opinion. And your opinion's right no matter what. It is your opinion. You're right no matter what. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, you're right. But you have to understand both sides of the coin, even if you disagree with it. If there's people who have not maybe been around in the hobby as long as you, and they're coming into the hobby over the last couple of years, and they're seeing historically what they've experienced over the past couple of years, they might think alternate arts are undervalued. They might think, and I mean, who am I to say they're wrong? Because there's so many different people that are coming into the hobby right now. So they might see alternate arts as undervalued, which is why they get targeted, why they get bought up. They might see certain special illustration rares as undervalued. They might see certain booster packs, certain seal product, like what we talked about in the past with 151, as undervalued, even at $11, $12 a pack, when historically we're like, holy buckets, 5 years ago I could buy Emerging Powers packs for $15 a piece. I could buy Hidden Fates packs for $10 a piece, and I thought that was expensive, 3 years ago. But now it's like, well, Scarlet Violet 151, $11, yeah, these are going to be $20 packs. These are going to be $30 packs by the end of next year. I can sell them on Whatnot. I'm going to do Whatnot for the next year and a half for sure. And a year and a half from now, these are going to be $30. If I buy 1,000 of them now at $11 a piece and just sit on them for a year and then sell them for $30 a year down the road, like that's the mindset. That opportunity to make thousands of dollars as opposed to hundreds of dollars brings in a whole new group a whole new group that looks at things completely differently. So it's frustrating. The only way it's really going to get fixed is with supply. There needs to be more supply that's going to drive down the cost, but there's so much money in Pokemon right now that it's difficult. It's difficult. So the important thing to remember, and we've talked about this so many times, and I promise this rant is almost done. We've talked about this so many times, is where everybody else is going, you go somewhere else. So while there's a lot of attention paid to alternate arts, paid to Destined Rivals, paid to Mega Evolution, maybe you go to a different area of the hobby that you specifically enjoy. You got to find your happy. If you don't find your happy and you focus only on all this other stuff, like I said, it's good to pay attention to it, but when it becomes your only focus, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get mad. You're going to get in these cyber wars. Like, it's just, you got to find your happy. You got to find your peace. It's part of the reason why I've started this whole journey of trying to collect every single Pokemon card and put them together in master sets. It probably was a terrible time to do it because everything is spiking. And I told myself I'm going to budget, take things easy for the next year and a half, just spend a certain amount every week. But every week, it's like something else goes up. But I'm telling myself, I got to practice what I preach. I can't FOMO. I just got to chill. Just got to chill. Hopefully the market will correct. Hopefully there'll be more opportunities down the road. Focus on trading. Focus on my happy. And I really want to complete it in a year and a half. But if I don't, I don't. If I miss out, I miss out. And that's got to be okay. It's got to be okay. If you're not going to give in to like focusing only on the financial side of things and wanting to protect this emotional connection that you've made with Pokemon, you got to be okay missing out. That's just really the most important thing. So let's look at alternate arts and see what's going on. I'm sorry for the rant. I really am. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit that subscribe button down below. You got to do that for the giveaway anyways. Leave a like and a comment. I'm going to stop rambling. Let's look at these alternate arts. Next week, we're going to compare alternate arts to special illustration rares because I think rarity does play a factor in buyouts, but also pricing, things like that, like what to expect. And I think that's important because every person has different chases, right? They have cards that they really enjoy, cards that they want to collect, cards that might be a future chase card for them. And it's very important to make sure that you do stepping stones. You eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? Like it is a very, very slow thing. You see all these vendor POVs and you see people walking around at all these shows and it's like they're spending thousands of dollars and maybe your mindset is like, well, I want to spend thousands of dollars. Don't. Like, take your time to get to whatever level you want to get to. If you're chasing this Lugia V alternate art that's $405 right now, yeah, it might continue to go up, but eventually you will get to whatever point it's at. It's just got to be slow progress to get there. So I wanted to showcase these alternate arts just from a panned out view on TCGPlayer so that way you can see the amount of listings, because we talked about this in Wednesday's video about prismatic evolutions. And the amount of listings is super important because this is something I'm assuming, and I don't have great depth or detail or understanding of what goes on in Discord buyout groups or anything like that, but I'm assuming targeting specific cards that are super popular that have low listings is probably something that gets done frequently, and you notice when it happens. So like the Lugia V alternate art, for example, is a very popular card that's gone up quite a bit over the past year, currently listed at $405.49 for the market price, but if you see, there's only 27 listings available. So driving that market price up higher is not going to be super difficult. It's going to be expensive because let's say 20 of those listings are priced between $405 and $800. It's going to be expensive to drive that market price up, but there's not that many cards to do it with. And if you look at the other cards here, Gengar and Mimikyu, not a great example because there's not a whole lot of supply out there for that one. Not a whole lot of cards that get moved on the secondary market. Tyranitar V, 14 listings. Rayquaza V alternate art, 18 listings. So a lot of these alternate arts probably just recently got bought up, and that's why the needle is moving consistently higher and higher and higher. So this is those alternate arts. Here's some other alternate arts right here. And then you get some of the less popular ones, which there's a significant amount more listings of. So like the Lumineon V right there, 117 listings. Now, yeah, less popular Pokemon, right? Like it's not as popular with Pokemon, which is why the amount of listings is so much smaller, but 117 listings on that one, 105 on the Unknown V, but then when you look at one like Blissey V sitting there at 28 listings. So the amount of listings that's available is always
is a very important thing to look at when you're kind of contemplating what you want to buy. Umbreon VMAX. So you can see just recently got bought up like crazy on TCGPlayer. Market price established at $1,612. So trending downward, then starting to trend upward. And now all of a sudden, the lowest one listed is $2,249.99. This graphic is from a couple days ago, so things have changed already. But 8 listings, that's it. 8 listings available, which means it probably did just get bought up a little bit because it got bought up all the way up to about $2,300, which is significantly higher than the $1,600 established market, $1,600 market established price that it just had. Mew VMAX, 15 listings. Gengar, Rayquaza, a little bit more, 26 a piece. But then you've got like Glaceon, there's 42 listings there. The single strike Urshifu, 41 listings. The rapid strike Urshifu, though, only 24 listings. So low listing counts on some of them. Blaziken VMAX, only 19 listings on that one, which is interesting. So here's the madness that we're looking at right here. And it's followed from a correction that we've experienced for pretty much across the board. Now across the board, it's all trending up again. Special illustration rares, Scarlet and Violet block Elite Trainer boxes that were exclusive to the Pokemon Center. All of them getting bought out, climbing. And it could not be buyout groups. Like, it could not be buyout groups. Buyouts can happen just from a large amount of eyes and demand that suddenly enter the hobby. It's probably buyout groups on some of them, but large amounts of demand entering the hobby all at the same time. Like that happens with buyouts as well. Like buyouts all of a sudden might happen because that's Mega Evolution. You know, you have tons of eyes on the market of people who want Mega Evolution that are driving that price point up because they're willing to pay. They see a $280 booster box of Mega Evolution and they're like, yeah, that's $120 above MSRP, but look at where Destined Rivals is right now. That's $350. That set just came out. I'd rather pay $280 than $350. Financially, I can afford it. I'm going to buy it at $280. That's what keeps these prices rising. The people who are using that mindset and buying at $280 because they're afraid that it's going to get to $350 if they don't buy it. And they could be right. They could be right. So you can get frustrated about it, but then you just miss out. It's very, very unfortunate right now. September of 2024, this was sitting at $162.39, trended up to about $300, then retraced. That retrace in March is going to be very, very consistent across the board. You see that from a lot of alternate arts, a lot of special illustrationers, a lot of illustrationers, but look what it's done over the last month and a half. Quantity of sales pretty much staying the same, but going up, like 149.7% growth over the past year, but very strong growth over the past month. Not necessarily buyouts on this one here. You can see just lower supply available. So it's sitting at 405.49. Here is the Tyranitar V. This one's a little bit more sus. In December of 2024, is sitting at that 1 year low of 129.55, jumped all the way up to about 230, 240 before retracing in March, like what we just saw from that Lugia. But now over the last month, definitely selling more on a consistent basis. So in March, April, May, June, there were a few weeks in there where it sold about 10 copies a week, but for the most part, 2-3. Like, it wasn't a whole lot. But now, over the past month, you have 1 week where it only sold a couple copies. Every other week, pretty much all of them that are being listed are getting bought up. So 20 copies sold 1 week, 30 copies sold 1 week, between 10 and 15 sold the other 2 weeks. So over the past month and a half or so, a lot more sales that have happened on this Tyranitar V, making a jump up 91.5% on the year, sitting at 271.81. That's an all-time high for that card. The Mew V alternate art from Fusion Strike, also the retrace from March. So in September of 2024, it was sitting at only $30 for the Mew V. Got bought up in December, jumped up to about $85, then retraced, like what we saw with everything else. In March, it started retracing, went all the way down to about $50, and now look what's happened over the last few weeks. Got bought up again, and the price point skyrocketed, and then still continue to get bought at that price point. So got bought up at $100, and then now it's sitting at $122.23. So 288% growth on this one, but definitely out of the norm sales happening over the last few weeks. Dragonite V, not as much, like a little bit more consistent on this one. More people paying attention to this one, so you do still have a little bit of blips here where it's a little bit more sales than normal, but this one did retrace as well in March, just not as significant. It was at $136.58 last year in September, dropped back down in July to about 240 or so, 250 or so, and now it's really climbed over the past month and a half. It's sitting at $370.95. That one's up about 171%. The Celebi V definitely bought up a lot over the past few weeks. In December of 2024, it was sitting at $27.20. December got bought up a lot more eyes on the hobby then, probably even more so than now. Jumped all the way up to about $70-ish and then retraced, like what we've seen from everything else. Fell down to about $45, and now all of a sudden over the past few weeks, selling a lot more copies. 30, 40, 60, 65, like it's selling a lot more copies, and because of that, the higher price point is hitting at 174.27% growth, currently at $76. The Umbreon V getting bought up a little bit at the beginning of August. Over the last couple weeks, it's gone back like to just a few sales on a weekly basis, but less supply available because it's already gone through that buyout stage. So September of 2024, it was sitting at $141.13, jumped up in March to about $300, then started retracing, and then in August started getting bought up again. It climbed up about 149%, so currently sitting at $350.91 and continuing to climb. The Arceus V from Brilliant Stars, definitely seeing more sales happen over the last month and a half. It did hit that retrace stage from March all the way up until August. It fell down to about $38, and now it's starting to climb again because of the buyouts that have happened. Now it's up about 123.69%, currently sitting at $54.49. The Noivern V from Evolving Skies also got bought up recently, so fairly consistent in sales, I would say, for the most part. There are some weeks where you have between 15 and 20 copies that have sold, but for the most part, it's somewhere around 10 to 15, so not a crazy buyout that happened, just lower quantities listed, lower supply, so an easier target. September of 2024 was sitting at $31.70. This one retraced way later, so it didn't start retracing until June. Hit about $45, and then retraced back down to about $38. But now it's gone up quite a bit. So now it's up $58.52 is where it is currently sitting. That's about 67% growth over the past year. But obviously, a couple weeks ago sold 30 copies as opposed to the norm, which is about 5 to 10, maybe 15 copies. The Charizard V relatively consistent. This is very similar to what we saw with the Dragonite V graph, where it does go through these phases every month, I would say, where about 25 to 30 copies are being sold, but for the most part, it's around 5 to 10. In September of 2024, it was sitting at $130.38. Grew up to March when it hit about $230, retraced very, very quickly, very small amounts, down to about $180, and then started climbing back up again. So now it's up about 92.5%, sitting at $251.78. Here is the Gengar and Mimikyu. Again, we talked about this one earlier, just low supply on this one, so not necessarily going through buyout stages. It's just whenever one gets replaced on TCGPlayer, it's at a higher price point. So it's grown 194% over the past year. It was $310.26 last year, which a lot of people were, that's too expensive. Now it's at $910.60 and continuing to climb. That's just a near mint raw copy, which is insane. The Togepi and Cleffa and Igglybuff. This is not an alternate art from a set. This is an alternate art from a box, a collection box. You can see in October of 2024, it was sitting at $64.78. It did get bought up a couple times. So December and then again in March. But this is one example where it didn't really retrace, one of those older alternate arts, which has just continued to grow. And again, like Gengar and Mimikyu, not getting replaced with the supply. So every time it gets listed, it's at a higher price point, which is continuing to drive that price higher and higher. About 225% growth over the past year, currently sitting at $232.43. And then the Mewtwo V, which is the last one we're going to look at from Pokemon Go, definitely getting bought up a little bit. It's gone through phases before. In September of 2024, it was sitting at $16.98, skyrocketed when all those eyeballs came onto Pokemon, jumped up in March to about $55, but retraced fairly hard. It fell down to about $34, $33 in April there, and then started going through phases again where about once a month it got bought up as far as quantities go. The difference is this one happened twice in August, where all of a sudden between 60 and 80 copies sold, and it started sticking at these higher price points. So between 10 to 20 copies a week is kind of the norm for Mewtwo V, and then all of a sudden it's selling between 60 and 80 copies at the end of August, beginning of September, which has caused this giant spike. So not quite at its high point, but it wouldn't surprise me if it got there very, very soon. $51.89 is where it's currently sitting. It's about 172% growth, which is crazy. So alternate arts obviously popping off right now because a lot of people, definitely more eyeballs paying attention to Pokemon because, like I said, it's thousands of dollars instead of just hundreds of dollars, and that makes a big difference. That changes that connection a lot for a lot of people, and it's important, like I said, said before, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm going to repeat it all the time. Where everybody else is going, you go somewhere else. So look for a different, maybe look at the competitive TCG. Maybe you focus on learning to play the game. It's a lot of fun. It really, really is. And buying competitive cards is ultra cheap. You can buy competitive decks for, $40, $50 for the entire deck, all 60 cards, which is great. But then it keeps you happy while everything else is going on. Then you can come back to the craziness once hopefully it dies down a little bit. It's up to you, obviously. You just find you're happy. Like, that's the most important thing. Find you're happy, stick to it, and focus on that. Otherwise, this gets really, really frustrating. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, share the channel, do all the things. But ultimately, thank you just for being here. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. We'll be back on Sunday with another video. Till next time, peace.